This week on the Storycraft Society, we are going to be doing a take 2. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Garmin. This, of course, is the Storycraft Society. And this week we are getting some vindication because, honestly, I messed up big time last week. I did it. I think that there's an expression, I screwed the pooch. It's an awful expression, but that's kind of what happened. Yeah, we messed up pretty bad last week. We used a really cool product, Woodland Scenics instant water, where you boil these little pellets and then they turn into water and then you pour them in. But then my problem is I was not so smart and I poured really hot stuff into foam and just melted it into pieces. So this week we are coming back with a new Woodland Scenics product. We're going with realistic water this time. Now, I will be real with you. I am just as scared about this one as I was about that one, but for a different reason. And the main reason is because on the back of this, it specifically says, not for use with PVA glue. Now, many of you in the comments will know whether I am right or wrong about this, but I don't think Mod Podge is PVA glue. But when I made up this new piece here, which is going to be the piece that replaces this piece, I used Mod Podge, well, Black Magic Craft base coat, which is a 50-50 mixture of matte, acrylic, black craft paint, and which is a 50-50 mixture of matte acrylic, which is a 50-50 mixture of black acrylic craft paint and matte Mod Podge. I cannot seem to get it going today. Good gracious. Whew. All right, let's talk a little bit about how I made this so that I can hopefully start wording good today. Let's start this off by getting that trash out of here. So the way that I made this piece is exactly the same way that I had been making a lot of the other pieces so far for Wave Echo Cave. I cut out a base piece of foam. Next thing I did was I tinfoil balled over the whole thing and shaved off all of the edges with a nail file. I then used a lighter to flame out the water area here so that it sunk down into the foam a little bit. I made this pillar here in the center, blended that in to the rest of it with plaster. And then the final thing that I did was, of course, Black Magic Craft base coat it and get it painted up. I did go with a little bit more natural look for the water this time. Actually, to be completely honest, I used the colors that are in the original Lost Mine of Phandelver map as kind of a guide. I think it's a little bit more natural looking. I think I like it better than what I did on last week's, and that's it. Now I have it here. I am ready to test out a new product, and I say we get to it. I have a little bit of prep work that I have to do. This stands up a little bit off of the table. I would like for that to dry actually flat and not warped at all. So I'm gonna get that set up, and then once that's set up, we're gonna start using a new product. Let's go. Okay, so it says that I'm not supposed to shake. Pour realistic water slowly to a depth of 1/8 inch. Pull out to edges with a craft stick. Let cure until glass clear, minimum of 24 hours. Pour additional layers at 1/8 inch thick, curing each layer until glass clear. Maximum depth is 1/2 inch. So, I mean, it seems simple, right? We just take this off. Whoop, no we don't. I gotta do a thing here. Dang it. So I put a piece of tape over this end. I would have liked to have used painter's tape, but somehow it turns out that I'm out, or I can't find the painter's tape that I had last week. So again, this might be another catastrophic failure on my part, but I'm gonna use this packing tape. I pushed it on to make sure that it's really good here. And also my kind of excuse for not running out to the store and buying more painter's tape before I do this is I'm also gonna try to not have this go all the way to the end, because I am gonna be using Lexol, so I'll be able to use Lexol all the way up against this end. This is just hopefully it doesn't fill up as much as I think it's gonna fill up. So, all right, let's get into pouring now. Why does this have that same feeling that I had on the other one? Like I'm just gonna pour this and something terrible is gonna happen. I guess we're gonna find out. All right, so let's start pouring. It's nice and slow, steady. Guess let's see where that runs first. All right, let's try and start working some of this out. So immediately, because of the no time constraint, this feels like it's definitely less stressful. All right, so initial thoughts after the pour. Immediately, I just think that this stuff is surprisingly easier and nicer to work with than the easy water. Now, obviously take all this with a grain of salt because this is just first initial reactions. There's plenty of time for stuff to go wrong still, but this is just my initial experience. I didn't feel rushed. The easy water, because it's hot and it cures in like 5 minutes, it just felt like there was so much more of a rush to go, 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 go. Whereas with this, I could really take my time and make sure that I got everything the way that I wanted. I actually, in fact, overfilled over in this area. And so that little bit of overfilling, I just took a spoon and kind of pulled out until I got it to a point that I was happy. I will say that I think it is still a little overfilled, but on here it does say that some shrinkage will occur. So I'm hoping that the little bit of overfill will counteract the shrink that the product is supposed to have, and then I'll end up with a nice flat water pour. We'll see. Like I said, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. The next time that you will see me, hopefully for you, is about 5 seconds, and for me will be about 24 hours, and then I can give an actual review of what this product did for me in this pour. Let's go. All right. Waking up to a thing of water. All right, welcome back, everybody. It is not 24 hours later. It is actually 48-ish hours later. It's taken that whole time for this thing to dry, which is way longer than the pack said. I believe the bottle said a minimum of 24 hours, but I suppose that did say a minimum of 24 hours. The thicker areas on here certainly took the full 48. Now, there are some good newses in this, kind of going back to what I said probably the last time we talked, which is honestly that this stuff is way easier in this application to use than the easy water. It does take a lot longer to dry, and that sucks, but it was just, for me, it was just 1,000 times easier to work with. Really neat stuff. The other really cool thing that was unexpected is because of the way that this stuff shrunk, it didn't shrink to like a glassy finish, which is the way that, like, for example, my UV curing resin does. Because the UV curing resin, it basically dries to or cures rather, to a flat glass sheet. This shrunk down and gave kind of cool water texture, ripples, and that sort of thing. So with that said, I really don't even have to do my water effects other than just over here where the moving water for the stream will be, which I really like. But that's our next step. Let's dive into getting the Lexel on over here and making the stream start to flow out that direction. And that'll be, I think, the last thing that we have to do. Let's go. This is awesome. All right, so I have pulled out my Lexel. This is the tough elastic sealant for every job. This is my favorite water effect. I really like it because it is easy to work with, and I've used it a bunch, so I understand how the product works. I think there's a lot to be said about that. Using a product that you know well will help you feel confident and comfortable using it in the future, but I am gonna do something different with it this time. One problem that I've had is that when I use Lexel, it's really easy to make choppy waves with it, but it's not really easy to make smooth kind of rolling water. So what I'm going to try this time is I'm gonna try to put it on and then use a wet finger to actually tap it down. I'm worried that maybe I might end up getting fingerprints and stuff in it, so I am gonna wear a glove, but then I'm going to use my craft stick here to get it all basically in the place where I want it, and then I'm going to use, like I said, that gloved finger to tap it down with water to make it nice and like a smooth current. So we'll see. Let's jump into doing some Lexel. So a little bit of a video snafu while I was doing the Lexel and trying out my rubber glove technique. It didn't get filmed, that sucks, but the good news for, I guess, everybody is that it didn't work. So I just went back to my regular craft stick and Lexel method. Maybe Lexel just isn't the right product for doing smooth water over the top. If you've got some suggestions of what I could use for a smooth water texture, something that's a little more like rolly and less ripply, let me know down in the comments below. But with that said, I'm gonna dive back into getting the rest of this knocked out, and then when it's done, I will be sure to show it to you. So here it is. I certainly needed a little bit of a win. I'm probably gonna take a break from doing Wave Echo Cave stuff just for a little bit, maybe a couple of weeks. This turned out okay. I think part of the sting of this project actually is that it's something that I didn't have to make for Wave Echo Cave. There's no combat encounter there. I think there's just a little bit of treasure in this pool. So all of this was for naught, other than the fact that I got to try out some cool new products and learn that I have a new favorite. This realistic water is amazing. Really love how it turned out. Really love the final product, so that's great. Can't complain there. But that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, definitely leave me a like down below. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think of realistic water. Actually, the most important thing that you could leave me a comment on is what kind of easy ripple water effects do you use instead of something that gets you more choppy, aggressive waves like Lexel does. All right, so that's all I got for this week. Until next week, I'll be seeing you. At least it's done, you know? That's the thing. And this looks cool. If I ever have to do some kind of like cavern with a pool in it, I've got something. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. Whew.